Hi, I'm Marlow Artis. Thank you so much for visiting my blog, Tar Heel Teachers. Today I am joined by Carmela McKeller Smith. She is a candidate for the school board for Cumberland County Schools, and I am at her Hay Street office. How are you doing, Ms. McKeller?
I'm well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is an exciting time. We're right in the middle of the school board election. Just describe for us the progress of your campaign. How are things coming along?
They're coming along, and I think the most exciting point right now is the fact that we're 3 weeks out.
Yes.
that's the most
you can
exciting
see the end
thing.
of the tunnel.
I can see the light.
Yes, that's
I can
exciting.
see the light.
Can you provide our viewers with some career milestones and some personal milestones that have led up to this campaign?
Absolutely. Well, I started my engagement with the school system strictly as a volunteer looking for opportunities to help and be engaged in my children's education and in the education system at large. The milestone for me came as I sat and I started to really get deeper and deeper engaged and looking at how I've been really prepared for just this moment. I think that the culmination of my career as an analyst, as someone that's worked with people all over the world, just really learning about different cultures and bringing that flavor to what I do in the school system, whether it was working with the children to help tutor or to be a part of the school improvement team or leading PTA. What I've found is that I've had a career that's really absolutely led me to this morning, to this moment, which is kind of affirmation for me. It's affirmation in that something that I had zero intention of doing became a purpose, and being called to a purpose of service, and service specifically in this area of education and advocating for children.
So you have kids in the system, or you have a student in the system, and one of your students is a graduate. So tell us, what has been your personal assessment of your kids' education here in Cumberland County? What have been some highs, what have been some lows, what are some things that you observed since your kids have been in the system?
I think the high has been watching my children have opportunities and exposure to things that they might not have had exposure to in New York. I mean, there's a trade-off. My older son had the opportunity to be very culturally engaged. He's a musician, and so we were able to provide him with lots and lots of opportunities to be engaged in the music industry and to have exposure to that. But then we came here, and he became a golfer, and being able to participate in that, and my younger son being able to participate and have freedoms that they might not have had we remained in New York. So him being able to participate in the Science Olympiad and some of the other activities was really a great opportunity for us. And then I guess on the flip side, that has also kind of been a bit of a downfall for us. Is his music, he came here, and my oldest particularly, he came here with this wonderful, wonderful talent. And it wasn't really something that anyone saw his potential for. And that was heartbreaking for us. And so I watched him come here. He'd played his instrument for 3 years when we got here, but he had been rated as a 5th-year student. And when we got here, we were told that he had to do beginning band. So he sat for a year, really regressed back he didn't regress because we kept him. We were very fortunate to be able to keep him in private lessons. Right. But I watched his desire, his passion for his instrument move into a decline. But him transitioning into college changed that again, because he went from his one instrument, he's now playing 5 different instruments that he's picked up. He's picked up 5 instruments in 2 years at college. So his passion for his music is back, and that makes me really happy. My younger son, he's a little bit more experimental in figuring out what he wants to do, and the county does provide that. The county provides lots of different things so that the children can go and explore and see where they want to be and what they want to do. So that's a really good thing.
Perfect. What has surprised you the most since jumping in this race?
The silence. There's been this deafening silence. It's a very quiet political system. It's a very quiet political cycle, and that surprised me. I've been engaged politically since I got here on a small level, but I'm a precinct chair, and I'm so used to, and perhaps that's because President Obama was a part of those election cycles, and so it was very loud, and what are we doing, and how are we doing it? Yes, and now this mid-season, it's just been quiet, so that surprised me. I really expected to see more activity and more things happening, but it hasn't been that. So.
Do you anticipate, if you are elected, that it's going to be quiet like that, or do you anticipate that if you're elected, you're going to be part of a major shift in some policies and procedures?
I absolutely hope that I'm a part of some change. I absolutely hope so. The thing that I do know, as a business consultant, as a business system consultant, the larger the beast, the harder it is to really make a quick turn. So I don't anticipate large changes. What I'd like to see are smaller changes that can affect or plant that mustard seed.
And what are some of those mustard seeds that you'd like to see grown and nurtured?
I would really, really like to see, I guess step A would be a change in how the board operates. I think that there's plenty of room for the board to better engage the community in at least committee meetings, potentially have subcommittee meetings. I think that what I particularly see is that parents and teachers are not engaged in that process. And I remember when I started going to committee meetings, there was Wanda Kendall and myself, and we'd be and the reporter from the Fayetteville Observer. We'd be the 3 constants in the room for every committee meeting and every school board meeting. And what I found was that there was really a rare occasion, well, there was never an occasion where parents were brought to committee meetings to be engaged in it, and rare occasions where teachers were brought in to be a part of that process. And that I don't understand. We have 9 people on the board. Why wouldn't we take the opportunity to create ex officio committee members that could be engaged in it? I don't believe that management, senior management has all the answers. I don't believe that. I believe that where you will find the answers, and this I know because it's been my career, where you will find the answers are in the field. The people that are on the line every day doing what they do. They're the ones that we need to get the answers from. They're the ones that we need to be able to include in the process, the decision-making process. I know that Dr. Till has made reference to a top-down kind of system. I would say that that's a kind of outdated model of how things work. Good, strong leadership absolutely looks to the people that are there every day, engaged with their children to look and see what's going to work there. And I know they have leadership meetings with principals, but I still say that's not fully the level that we need to engage. All of that becomes just management. When you're only working with the principals and the administration to make all the decisions and then push those decisions down is not the most effective tool. And the management structure has completely shifted from that kind of dynamic.
I will say Dr. Till is trying to involve more teachers.
That's a good thing.
They are making that shift, using the Teachers of the Year at each school as an advisory committee, and we have periodical meetings to kind of give some information. So they're trying, but I think you're right, we could have more of that. What would you say is the actual role of the school board? What do you expect to be your role?
I think that the role of the school board, like most boards of directors, should be first of all, they're the people that have been elected to lead the system. So they should set direction. They should set direction. Their role must be to say, this is where we want to go, and then have people in place to move forward on that agenda. So they set the agenda. They say, this is what we want to see happen. And they can say, come back and tell me how you're going to get there, or let's figure out together how we're going to get there. But pretty much their role is to set direction, to say where the system should go and how the system should go there. And really kind of setting the tone for the system.
What would you say, if you had to give a current assessment, a letter grade, what letter grade would you give the current configuration of the school board?
Incomplete. I'd give them an incomplete. I think that, and I say that because I get that there's a lot going on right now. I get that this whole budget issue has people really kind of pulling their hair out about what's going to happen and how we can make things happen. I get that. But I also get that if we sit and wait for all of that to fall into place, we miss lots of opportunities that we really need to be moving on. I'm very much a proponent of, because I've been there. I've been there when someone walks into my office and say, we're cutting your budget by 20%. And yes, and we're still expecting you to do everything you did before. We're still expecting you to do that. Okay, and now go away. So I've been there. And I think that the one thing that we're going to really have to try and figure out is how to innovate. How to become better innovators with our system, and how to figure out some other avenues for trying to make happen the things that aren't happening or that we'd like to see happen. That's going to be critical. And if you don't have a group of people that can do that, and I'm not saying they don't. What I'm saying is that the nature of that group of people is going to have to be led through innovators, people that are willing to step up and say, well, let's try this, let's try that, let's do a little of this and see if that'll work for us. Because the money's not coming. The money's not coming. The money, if it does come, is not going to be coming soon enough for us to be able to really depend on it. If it comes, it may come in a year, it may come in 2 years. If there's a change in the legislature, we may see people coming and bringing money with them to give to us, but chances of that really happening are slim.
Very slim. Talk about the budget. What are some incentives that we can offer our teachers that might not be money-based? Because, like you just said, we have all these budget issues. What are some incentives that we can offer teachers to stay here in Cumberland County and our other employees? Because a lot of people are migrating to other systems and other states. So what would be a solution for that?
You know, I have a difficult time with that question. And when I came here, when I moved here, most of my engagement was in the school system. And so most of my girlfriends now are school teachers, they're educators. And the largest, the best incentive that could have been offered to them, and I've watched several of them leave. Broke my heart. I mean, I've begged. I've begged to see, and not because they were my friends, but because they were wonderful teachers.
Right.
The best thing that could have happened was a focus on ensuring that they have a workplace that they feel good about getting up and going to every day. Ensuring that they have the resources that they need. We all want to be successful in our work. You know, it's hard enough to get children where they need to be without having your hands tied behind your back to do it. So I think that when you train your teachers, professional development, it can't be a check the box kind of activity. Professional development has to be a true commitment to ensuring that that teacher has what they need. Something as simple as teachers saying to me, because I was PTA president, and we talked about, well, you know, what should we do? What can we do? Every year it was, I wanted to see what we could do for the teachers as well. And something as simple as, well, we don't really know how to use these smart boards. You know, you get this surface level kind of training, and you get these tools. So when you come and you roll out a Common Core curriculum, and the teachers are not comfortable in teaching that curriculum, that's demoralizing. You know, that makes someone feel, because they then have to stand in front of their students and try and figure out what they're doing. You know, instead of, I've trained people. Like I said, I've traveled all over, being responsible for ensuring that people knew our systems, that people knew our policies, that people knew our procedures in areas that weren't necessarily where I was a subject matter expert, but ensuring that people were trained to a level of being comfortable in that, because I knew that you have this diversity of teachers. You will have teachers, just like I had workers, who were technologically savvy. And I could walk in and I could probably train those people in half a day. Other people, I had to plan, okay, I'm going to have a half-day session for these folks, a full-day session for these folks. There has to be some look. There are people that are 60 and have been in the system for 30 years, and that transition to something newer. My aunt was an educator she taught at Southview from the day it opened. She was there for 30 years, high school teacher. And she said, you know, in certain things, you know, she said, okay, it's just time for me to move on now. And there will be people that will make that decision. So I think that it's really about, has to be about the workplace. That's the one thing that you can do without spending a lot of money. It doesn't cost you anything to make sure that people have the respect, the courtesy, the professional respect for them and their trade. Then that's key. And the ones that I know that have left for Charlotte, that have left for Georgia, that have gone back to Ohio, or just said, you know what, I'm going to go do something else. Not one of them, honest to God, not one of them said, I'm leaving because this money just stinks. Not one. You know, I have, and I say this, I have one of my husband's good friends. New York City had New York City teachers, teaching fellows. And I was thinking about this morning. This man, Dartmouth undergrad, I don't remember where he had his graduate degree, Wall Street broker, left Wall Street to go into the teaching fellows program. Nothing about that was about money. Not a thing, you know. This was someone that made triple what teachers make in a bonus each year. But he made a decision to go and do this. And I find that to be the case more and more often. Because, you know what, I'm sure you could go and find something else to do where you could like double your income like that. Right. You know, this is something, and so when you have that, respect that. You know, that's huge value. And I'd rather have somebody in that classroom teaching my child, and that was one of the things where the teacher workplace survey. I remember going and saying, you know, looking at it, and at my child's school, I remember this so clearly, it was like 40% of the teachers indicated that they were dissatisfied. I said, that means that 40% of the students are sitting in front of a teacher that's not happy to be there. We don't want that. It's not, I've managed people my whole life, and the thing I knew was that if I had people that felt good about coming into the office every day, then I had good, productive workers. You know, there are things that I can't change. I couldn't change. I couldn't say, okay, here's another $50,000. Here's another $20,000, or I'm going to give you 6 weeks vacation. I couldn't do that. But what I could do is find little ways, and it has to be on a per-person basis, because the motivation for you is not the same thing that motivates me. You know, so it really takes good management to look at it and figure out, how do I motivate these people? How do I make them happy to be here and not want them to go anywhere else? To spend their time here and be invested in our system.
Great. Last question. What are 3 reasons why you should occupy one of those at-large seats? The 3 seats open. Give me 3 reasons why you should have one of the seats.
I guess the first thing that I would say is that I bring something that I don't see any other candidate with. And that's the ability, the skills, the experience, the training to come in and really look at process and procedures and define how we go about process improvement. There are a lot of skill sets on the board and people with a lot of talent in their respective areas, but none of them have had the kind of career that I've had that says, okay, Carmela, walk in the door, look at it, figure it out, make recommendations, and tell us how we're going to make this happen. That's been me in my career. So I think that's one thing. I think that other than, well, Romaine has a daughter in the system, and Greg West has children in the system. But we could potentially end up without a parent on the school board. So I think that we have to look at that. We have to look at I've done everything there is to do in the school system as a parent volunteer, from classroom volunteer to mentor, to PTA president, to school improvement team, to book clubs with kids that couldn't read. I've done all of that. And I've attended the majority, the school board meetings, and a large percentage of the committee meetings. So I can walk in the door ready to work. I think that's important. I'm not trying to get up to, and I'm not easily intimidated. I'm not easily intimidated. And I think it can be intimidating. I think that when you look at what you have in your hands, people can become very intimidated by that. And people will say things to you like, we need educators to be on the school board. Yes, we do. And we need others also. People that bring other skills to the table. So, prepared, parent, and diversity, ready to work.
Great. Thank you so very much for taking time to speak with me. I love this view. I'm so glad I came to. Ms. Roberts, can you get a shot of that view? Because I just love that view. I mean, I wish I could just sit here all day and just take a view, but I enjoy the conversation.
Come by any time.
Yes.
Come by any time.
I enjoy the view, I enjoy the conversation, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
I wish you the best.
No matter what, I'll be there.
I wish you the best.
I'll be there advocating.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.